would mean. So when you framed the topic, digital divide, bridging the digital divide and the role that AI has to play in it, the first thing that struck me in that is we're at least thinking. We're thinking because we do need to think. We're layering this period of AI on a world that was already so badly unequal for the larger teeming population of people in continents like Africa, South Asia, some parts of Latin America that have been entirely left behind by all the revolutions. So for example, I say that my continent was not a part of the agricultural revolution, not the industrial revolution, not the knowledge revolution, but with the ICT revolution, Africa came, showed up on the map. Even if initially as consumers of the products of that revolution, and that's important to note, because you see, when we say that, we use that statement that talent is equally distributed, opportunity is not. That really is putting our pulse on what Stephen was saying, on what Alex was saying, on what Chika was saying. We have seen through the opportunity of technology that failure is not the destiny of any part of the world. No part of the world should fail. It just means that we have an opportunity gap. And so convening us to explore what it means for public-private partnership to bridge that gap is one of the best things in the AI Expo, as far as I am concerned. And so kudos to you and your team for convening this conversation. So that's my first set of points. My second set of points is that we're looking for a world where we continually are productive and competitive, right? That's what the global, we've said it in the last century of understanding that the markets perfectly can offer us prosperity, even though it leaves people behind in the process of doing that. But there is no economic system that has delivered as much as the system we have been on in this last century. So, what is technology saying to us? Technology is actually saying to us that we're not wrong in believing in the power of the markets. The market principle works. What technology is now going to help us do is address this matter of leaving people behind. And if there's a continent that has empirical data to show that people don't have to be left behind just because we are not paying attention, it is Africa. It is through the reforms in the technology sector, in telecom, that majority of the countries on the continent today have a thriving, booming market of technology working for the poor. And the poor is not left out of technology just because of getting policy right. And that's why the role of government is so important. Governments that understand that the policy framework, the regulatory systems, the basic investment in the backbones that are important for the innovation that technology offers have seen technology work for the poor. The market works for the poor. The idea that the market leaves the poor behind is discountenanced or spoken against by the evidence of what technology has done. So when we now think in terms of AI, and Chika was saying that in Africa it's an essential, it's not about productivity and efficiency, it is about that. It is just that the argument for it is even stronger. You want to boost the global productivity You need this 1-point-something billion people of the continent of Africa being well empowered and connected to the global growth. The growth that the world is needing has to come from looking at Africa as a corridor that is a growth pole that has to be unlocked by the power, sheer power. The scale of that power is what matters. Just think of it. The scale of what is possible for the continent. The scale of the impact that could happen at the individual level productivity of that woman in Kenya, of that young person in Senegal. It's unbelievable. So if we know that the algorithmic, or what do you guys call that word? Algorithmic, yes, prospects of being able to get data around issues that African countries have been struggling with for so long. We can now figure it out because the power of data. Data is king, data is queen, right? Now, if we thought of that, then one key problem, as a former Minister of Education, that I just want to see AI help us tackle is this big divide in foundational literacy, foundational numeracy, foundational learning. Because if the productivity of an individual will be determined by these foundational skills, then we shouldn't go to the top yet and be saying AI, when AI can come to the bottom and help us resolve this. 9 out of every 10 children in Africa are not achieving foundational learning. We're going to fix this. What can AI do in terms of the panoply of interventions we know that change the learning experience of children, whether they are rich, poor, middle class, whatever they are? We want people to know the science of learning, to have the skills of learning, and then every other thing they find their way through it. So I would say, let's think of models that we have seen so far in terms of bridging divides. There was a time when we realized that we all needed to be vaccinated. We all needed vaccines. If you're going to be okay, then you needed to make sure that I got vaccinated, right? So through that, we got to the place where the world collaborated on the vaccine. It's not a big deal for a child to have. We need that kind of thinking now, that kind of radical thinking of how globally we can make this opportunity available. That's the way you bridge the divide. The way that we as a world convened and said, how do we make vaccine essentials of guaranteeing the life of any one of us? Because in all of us being alive and thriving, we all are thriving together. I spoke according to the terms of what we gathered here to discuss. Thank you.
I hope our colleagues from AID and elsewhere are taking notes. But